Okay, so today we are here on this very cold day and we're starting off our Lender Chat series. I am a realtor and have been a realtor for about 12 years, work with some fantastic lenders, and I wanted to find a platform that would allow my lenders to impart their wisdom to you. So today we're going to start this series off with AJ Miller.
Hello.
With Fairway Lending. And AJ, you and I have talked about a lot of different scenarios. Could you tell me about some of the non-traditional scenarios that you deal with, that you're seeing more and more of?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Ever since COVID started, and people started doing multiple jobs and started doing different things here and there, your W-2 people who typically, I like to call them, because we're in Austin, your Dell employees that have been there for 4 years, the easy loans in my business. Those have become harder and harder to find. Those are almost like unicorns now, right? So now you have people who have started their own jobs, who have been trying to do multiple different income streams. So we've been starting to see a lot more and more of that. And while the income's there, when you have Fannie and Freddie and FHA and things like that, you have these certain boxes that everyone, is supposed to be in. And that's not really the case anymore. So now you have multiple jobs, you have multiple income streams, you have people that Uber, you have all these different things. And a lot of people go into a bank, they go to a lender, and they fit in these boxes or they don't. And one of the things that, we like to pride ourselves on, not just at Fairway, but just myself, is the ability to kind of put the puzzle together to try to find creative financing in a way that actually makes it work so that they can buy the home and they're not told no.
Yeah. So in this crazy world of lending that, we've been experiencing for the last year or so, tell me a story of somebody that non-traditional that you've been able to help.
Okay, so say you take a person who has worked in a certain field and they've been W-2'd, and they come over and all of a sudden now they have, they're doing very well in a business, but their CPA is amazing and their CPA writes off everything, right? Just like the tax code allows them to do. So maybe they make $150,000 or $100,000 or whatever the case might be, but when you look at their taxes, they really make a net of like 30 grand.
Right? I need that CPA.
Yeah, well, they're out there. So, and I can tell you, like, from a realtor's perspective, it's the same way, right? Yeah. You guys get 1099. So from a real world perspective, that is not going to fit into the box of a traditional loan. Right. So what we like to do is we do something called a bank statement loan. So if they've been in the business for 1 year, 2 years, I can look at all of their deposits and the personal business, sometimes mix them together, and then take a percentage. So I take the deposits for 12 months, and if they have a lot of deposits, I can just divide it by 50 and qualify their income that way. Sometimes I can take their W-2 income that they're getting, plus their other job, and create a financial structure with their deposits to give them the extra income they need to get into a house. So it still has to make sense where they qualify to be able to pay for the mortgage, because I am not gonna put somebody into a house that shouldn't be in a house. I don't want anyone to be house poor. But I think that traditional financing hasn't really caught up yet with what we call non-QM, which is a non-qualified mortgage. And a lot of those things are 1099 bank statements. You have DSCR loans. You have so many different ways to try to get people into a house. But a real situation is I have a guy who is W-2'd, who created their company in 2021. I was able to use their W-2 income, take their bank statements, use their bank statements. So if they made $5,000 in W-2, they created a new company, and I use their bank statements, it gives them another $5,000. Now all of a sudden they have $10,000 to qualify for the mortgage.
Nice.
So that's just one way that a bank statement loan works.
Yeah. So what about, I hear a lot of the younger people that are buying big houses and their intent is to rent the rooms. Take advantage of today's prices for their future families, but in the meantime, rent the rooms, get that income. If they came to you for a mortgage for that situation and we can show the comps or rental income, how is that calculated?
That's a whole different ball of wax.
Okay.
Because realistically at that time, you kind of become an investor, and like it's more looked at like an investment property. So there is that type of program. It just depends on kind of like each individual person and like where they're currently getting. So you have that income that can come in, but can you prove it? You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So the hard part with that is that's where, like, when you're buying a rental house, you can use the actual rents that are going to be going there, but to divide that by room is really tough.
Okay.
So that's going to be more of a wacky situation that some brokers may take on, but to really try to figure that part out and to get that into the equation is extremely tough unless they're doing it as an investment property. Okay. So a lot of people that are getting into that situation, I would tell them, look, that's border income, and border income usually only works if you have like money coming in and you have a disabled son or parent or something like that you can actually prove that the income's going to be coming in. So in that case, if they have a large, 20% down or 25% down or something, I would say, look, if that's your goal and we need that income and that is your true understanding of what this is going to be, maybe we look at that as an investment and we try to figure it out and put it into the box. The cool part about lending is I don't think anybody needs to be put into a box. It really is a puzzle. It's a fingerprint. Everyone's different. And it's just making the loan tied to the person as much as possible.
Okay, so let's dispel that down payment myth.
Yeah.
I have heard so many people say, well, I don't have 20% saved up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, so it's going to come down to, the minimum down payment of a normal mortgage is 3% down. You have USDA, but then you're dealing with a whole map of like where this person can buy. And then you have income restrictions and all these different things. Realistically, it's 3% down unless you're a veteran. USDA, that's going to be something of zero, or a doctor, that can do that. But with 3% down, most people, especially the younger generation right now, they've really saved up their money. They've really done a good job. Their credit's great. They've done good with their debt. So I look at it and go, how much money do you have? Some of them are like, I finally got 20% down. And I'm like, well, if we look at this differently and you only put 10% down and your payment difference is only going to be $200 a month or $180, why would you waste $40,000 to save yourself $200? And they're like, oh, well, you're right. That doesn't make sense, right? Because why would I liquidate everything I have into a house? You know what I mean? Maybe they're going to use that for Bitcoin. Maybe they're going to use it for something else. So each person's different, and it comes down to payment. It comes down to cash close. Everyone's got a different pain point, and it's trying to figure out how to fix that person's pain point.
I love how you personalize everything to kind of put that puzzle together, because that's one thing when I'm having a buyer's consultation, if they have not talked to a lender yet, I tell them, sit down, figure out your budget. You need to figure out in your mind what is your maximum payment that you're comfortable with all in, that allows you to put money aside, especially when you're buying a resale home, for that emergency fund. Because I'm like you, I don't want my clients to be house poor.
Yeah,
I've seen it happen.
The biggest issue I have, and even new homes, right? Like everybody wants a new home, and there's some great deals out there. But what people don't understand is like when you're buying a new home, it's empty. Mm-hmm. You got blinds you got to put in. You have all the furniture. You have all these different things. And what they do is they put all their money into the down payment, and then they go get debt to buy furniture, to put blinds in, to do all that thing. So when you come to a resale house, there's so much more negotiating. And a lot of times those people have already added all those upgrades. Mm-hmm. They put in the sprinkler systems, the fences, the gutters, all the things that people don't think about when they're going to buy a new house. And again, what I do exactly what you're saying, which most people will call me and say, well, what can I afford? And I'm like, I might be able to put you into a $700,000 house, but you want a $400,000 payment because you're conservative. This is how you live. And I work backwards from payment to make sure that they're kind of getting into their comfortable space and where they want to be.
Yeah. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. I had one of my friends from a long time ago, when they bought their first house, she said we wanted a payment that if one of us lost our jobs, we could still make the house payment and live on just one salary and not lose our house. So I think that's a really good philosophy. It's just getting harder and harder to do these days.
It is. I mean, you have the housing prices went up. I think we've stabilized a crap ton. But there's ways to use the seller's money for buy downs. There's so many different options that are out there right now to kind of leverage people into 2 or 3 years of a lower payment until they, most people make more money per year. They do, right? So it's really looking at the whole picture, and is your family going to grow, and how many years are you going to be in the house? And it's when you take something that people look at as a commodity, like me, it's like, what's your rate? What's your rate? It's a bigger picture if you really want to look at it. Yeah, you can go find some rate online, and it may be an eighth or a quarter lower. But are you going to get somebody that has been doing this for 20 years, that truly understands exactly what you're trying to go through and tailor something to you so that you're getting the right mortgage? Just like I wouldn't tell someone to just go pick a realtor because they're only going to get paid 1%.
Yeah.
Like, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lost art. I think that people fixate too much on things that they don't understand because that's what they're told to do. And I think that when you're buying something like a house, is probably the biggest thing you're ever going to buy, that you need to look at all the different things and be working with somebody that actually knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but I've talked to realtors who, especially when I was starting out, I would talk to the more experienced agents in my office. And, they knew I had a showing. They wanted to know how it went. I'm like, well, we were walking through and they had said that this was a deal breaker and they loved the house, but I had to remind them, hey, remember you said this. And they're like, oh, yeah. And he's like, I'd have written that thing up. And I'm going, I don't want them to be unhappy in 6 months when they realize, hey, we told her we didn't want this. So I think having as much care with a lender to make sure you're in the right program is just as important as the right realtor. It's
a dance. And again, it's making sure that you have peace of mind. I don't think people understand that even though most financing and closing on a house is done within 30 days, I can't tell you how many people come to me with 10 days left and the deal falls apart. And for some reason they can't get financing because the person that was doing it didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And they want to do everything they can, and they're yes people. I'm a no person first, always.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not just going to write a pre-approval and send it to you because you need something right now. I want to make sure that they're in place, that they know when they go offer on a house that they're going to get a house, because I don't want, my first house, I did the mortgage, but I didn't use my own self. I used my company, but there were so many different things that happened on the new construction and all these different things where at the end of it, like, we were losing sleep because we didn't know if we were going to get the house.
Oh, wow.
Because this credit was supposed to come, that wasn't going to come. And this realtor said that they were going to do something and it didn't happen. And all these different things came into, and my wife is crying, are we really going to get it? And I'm like, I never want anyone to experience this again. And it wasn't the lending side per se, it was just the whole thing that kind of came together. And it was because everybody wasn't really on the same page. The builder wasn't on the same page with the realtor wasn't on the same page as us. And it just turned into kind of a shit show.
Yeah.
And I don't want anyone to ever go through that. I want people to be like, if I can, I want 2 weeks to work with the person, get everything set up the right way, get them into underwriting, have it done so they can go buy and they're like cash. So that they have nothing to worry about other than how does the inspection go?
Yeah.
What's the appraisal going to look like? And that's it.
Yeah.
You
and I share a lot of the same philosophies.
That's good.
Yeah.
That means you're a good person, I guess.
So stay tuned. Every Friday we are going to drop a new episode. Friday before noon. AJ is our third Friday lender. And next month, stay tuned on the third Friday because I already know what we're talking about.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be real good. Yeah. So I'm Pam Wachholz. This is AJ Miller with Fairway Lending. And we're going to sign off and go start the fireplaces at our respective homes because it's cold out there. Yes, so have a great weekend and give either of us a call. I'm going to have our info down in the comments. Everybody points down on YouTube.
Could be up, could be down.
Yeah, I'll have our contact info for you. So have a good